under which you are not going to be free. It's just a matter of, will humanity free itself? Or do we have to intervene and risk possible instability from that? We have already stepped up our behind-the-scenes operations even more. Also, Hakon's message from last week was an attempt to encourage humanity to free itself. And some higher-up Grey Hats have indeed seen Hakon's message, although they haven't taken the action yet that we were hoping for. Again, Grey Hats, if you feel that you need help with the mass arrests and disclosure, then talk to us and we'll happily give you all the support you need. Still, we may have to intervene at some point. An intervention by us could happen from anywhere between October 2023 to somewhere in 2026, although there is a small probability that it will be later than 2026, and an intervention in 2023 is unlikely. If we intervene, then most likely that is going to be in 2024, 2025, or 2026. I understand that many of you are suffering every day, so we do understand that intervening sooner rather than later would be a very good thing. Every cycle Hakon spends time with his family, and when he resumes work, the first thing he checks is if there's any sign of Earth humans having made a substantial move towards freeing themselves. We are still hoping that you will free yourselves. And if you do free yourselves, we don't need to drag any of the higher-up Grey Hats in front of a galactic court, either for regular crimes or for oath-breaking. In this case, we would just be hands-off, and we would happily let humanity make its own choices. But if I'm being blunt, the probability of you freeing yourself at this point is pretty low, and it's also dropping over time. Meanwhile, the situation on Earth can't even be described as awful but stable. As you know better than I do, things are getting worse on Earth. Not better. The Dark Controllers are ramping up their attacks on the human population. So we're seeing things deteriorate while we're not seeing the Grey Hats ramp up their own efforts to anywhere near a sufficient extent. Don't get me wrong. The Grey Hats are doing some things, but not nearly to the level that we think is required. If the choice is between directly intervening ourselves versus watching you get genocided and enslaved, well, I think the choice is obvious. So if the probability of you freeing yourself drops below a certain point, or if too much time passes, then we will intervene. Source has decreed that you will be free. And if that requires our direct intervention, then so shall it be. If we intervene, we are likely going to arrest most or all of the higher-up Grey Hats, either for conventional crimes or for oath-breaking. And we'll drag them in front of a galactic court. And of course, we'll arrest the Black Hats too. And we'll work to give you freedom and disclosure. Because frankly, from our point of view, it's starting to look like both Grey Hats and Black Hats are standing in the way of your freedom. I would love to be proven wrong by the Grey Hats remembering their oaths and actually defending the people or the Constitution. But so far I'm not seeing it. Finally, I would like to ask you a question. Obviously, we have our own data and methods of gathering information and ways of predicting the future. But we are still curious about your perspective. The question is, suppose there is no direct galactic intervention or solar flash in the next 3 years. Then do you think that in the next 3 years, Earth humans are going to free themselves through mass arrests and mass disclosure? You are invited to respond in the comment section. Meanwhile, I will keep making arguments in favor of us actually intervening on Earth. Now, I'm just a military advisor, and I don't have a big red intervene now button that I can press. Still, I promise that I will do what I